Gordon. We make it easier to get the compensation you need to move forward in life. Take the Slater & Gordon free claim check, and we'll take it from here.
With the Isuzu MUX, you're sorted. Whether you're getting away from everybody or getting away with everybody, bring all your special ones. Or just leave them all behind. Options galore. Live your own way in the 7-seat Isuzu MUX.
Go your own way.
Rugby, set, go.
I missed you, man. I could just feel immaculate. It's impeccable.
Win the ultimate games experience in Paris 2024 at Harvey Norman. 3 major prizes to be won with a total prize pool of over $100,000. You could win a trip for 2 to the Paris 2024 Olympic or Paralympic Games, or a Harvey Norman gift card valued at $10,000. Simply purchase any product over $200 and enter the draw for your chance to win the ultimate games experience in Paris 2024. Now at Harvey Norman.
Go!
So I heard you're back in town and haven't changed a bit. Time you get what you deserve.
Both teams getting ready.
So you wanna fight me? Are you big enough?
Power and passion. This is intense as footy gets. We are ready for Origin footy.
For the first time in women's Origin history, a blockbuster 3-match series.
Oh, baby, don't tell me I didn't warn you.
It's a huge game for those women out on the big stage.
Ampol Women's State of Origin. Exclusive, live and free. Only on 9 and 9 now.
Hey Mum, can I have the recipe for tacos?
Hulk smash, milk snacks, vanilla cake,
Chocolate chip cookies, pavlova,
pancakes. Where did you get the recipe?
I got it from my sister.
Poppy.
Bestie, my mum, my son, my dad.
My grandma.
I got it from my mum.
I've got a ton of job leads from High Pages. They've really helped me lay down some solid foundations.
I've always got new leads in the pipeline.
When we got on the High Pages app,
They were coming out of the woodwork.
really?
Trust me with High Pages, there's a lot of leads.
It really helped me pave the way to growing my business.
Paved the way.
Tradies, get more work with highpages.com.au.
So our supply lasts longer in any weather. For more tips and information, head to hunterwater.com.au. Where to from here? What's going to happen now? Will your life ever be the same? Are you really getting what's fair, not just what's offered? Talk to Slater & Gordon, and we'll take it from here.
With the Isuzu MUX, you're sorted. Whether you're getting away from everybody or getting away with everybody, bring all your special ones. Or just leave them all behind. Options galore. Live your own way in the 7-seat Isuzu MUX.
Go your own way.
I've got a ton of job leads from High Pages. They've really helped me lay down some solid foundations.
I've always got new leads in the pipeline.
When we got on the High Pages app,
They were coming out of the woodwork.
Really?
Trust me, with high pages, there's a lot of leads.
It really helped me pave the way to growing my business.
Paved the way.
Tradies, get more work with highpages.com.au.
You can have what you crave at the Crave Club.
Fiber 190 calorie. Have what you crave.
TV's most spectacular adventure is back.
I tell you what, that's a testicle.
Oh! 10 breathtaking new locations.
What is the meaning of life?
Very simple. No hanky-panky. Stay in harmony.
Just a little bit of hanky-panky.
New guys.
Oh my God, it's huge!
And the first ever
5 stars.
5 stars.
Perfect holiday.
Get ready to roam.
Like you've never roamed before.
You know how hard it is to walk in a banana leaf?
All new travel guides coming soon to 9 and 9 now.
After 11 games of scissor, paper, rock and a heated debate, older brother Alex earned the top bunk, only to discover he was afraid of heights, settling the top bunk debate for the rest of the holiday.
Shoe Spot Toronto is always spot on. Where to from here? What's going to happen now? Are you really getting what's fair, not just what's offered? Talk to Slater and Gordon, and we'll take it from here.
Take a look inside Haagen-Dazs, made en France, where only the best will do. Combining rich cream, luscious buttery caramel with crunchy brittle pieces. Et voila, the ice cream of ice creams.
Not just when someone visits. For care that goes beyond your needs and supports the whole you and your...
Realizing I had no idea what I was doing.
What's a jigger?
All I had to do was take a photo of anything I wasn't sure of and pop it in the app.
That's the jigger.
I even figured out how to work this bubble gun by snapping a photo and then adding how to use the search.
Nobody breathe. I feel like I'm about to pick up a Taipan.
More ways to search. Download the Google app for iPhone.
All delivery updates available on the AusPost app, so she'll know they're from us, and us alone. You ask, we deliver at
$2,600 is in the machine, but we would like to go home at $20,000 if that was possible. We talked about going to Wimbledon, yes, but you like your dance and your music. I do. And I hear Eurovision's in the mix. It is. I'm a big Eurovision fan. Would love to see Australian people.
I give you Iron Neck.
Lego Masters tonight, 7:30.
Experience 2 for 1 Europe from $9,999 for 2 people, including flights. Take a friend and discover.
Alright. Will you get behind? You want to hear a lot of cheering? And let's hope.
8 countries. Cruise the Mediterranean for 7 nights and more. Head to tripadeal.com.au.
And we'll find out if you're right. And that one step closer to hopefully going home with the $20,000 jackpot after the break.
We love our Aussie summers. Nothing beats a day on the water. And with the Isuzu D-Max, you can find your very own stretch. Be it a sunrise surf or a day out with the family. Summer goes further with the Isuzu D-Max. And with stock available, you can have your own before you know it. Live your own way in the Isuzu D-Max.
Go your own way. I found love where it never belonged.
Watch me now. I am the Venus of the night. Watch me now.
Swarovski. You can have what you crave at the Crave Club.
Fiber 190 calories. How what you crave?
So I heard you're back in town and haven't changed a bit, man. Time you get what you deserve.
All teams, getting ready to battle.
So you wanna fight me? Are you big enough?
Skill, power, and passion. This is intense as footy gets. We are ready for Origin footy.
For the first time in women's Origin history, a blockbuster 3-match series.
Oh, baby, don't tell me I didn't warn you.
It's a huge game for those women out on the big stage.
Ampol Women's State of Origin. Exclusive, live and free. Only on 9 and 9 now.
Are about to get even greater. You will be creating new Olympic sports. Elephant jumping, cake launching, jet tag hockey. I assure you, you are safe. It is up to me to pitch each of your builds. Who will take home the gold? I give you Iron Neck. Lego Masters tonight, 7:30.
This program brought to you by Australian-owned and operated The Lottery Office. Get more zeros in your life.
Still with 4. Man. Yeah. Cree, you've taught him well. But he's never had an offer like this before. 5. Oh. Ready? You might want to think about 5 counters to get the 20,000 out. While you do, we'll go to news headlines.
The world's greatest games are about to get even greater. You will be creating new Olympic sports. Elephant jumping, cake launching, jet tag hockey. I assure you, you are safe. It is up to me to pitch each of your builds. Who will take home the gold? I give you Iron Neck. Lego Masters tonight, 7:30.
Sadly, she died at the scene. Officers have arrested a 17-year-old girl.
The Prime Minister tries to hose down a war of words with an anti-domestic violence campaigner from Newcastle. A recently released detainee accused of a violent home invasion that left a grandmother injured. The parents of the alleged Sydney church stabber speak for the First time as the wounded bishop returns. A second inquest begins into the cold case disappearance of model and dancer Ravel Balmain. And retirement shock why Roosters half Luke Keary has suddenly decided to call it quits.
This is NBN News with Gavin Morris.
Good evening. First tonight to breaking news, and police say a girl has been fatally stabbed at a home in the Lake Macquarie suburb of Boolaroo. Emergency services responded at 3:45 p.m, arriving to treat a 10-year-old for multiple wounds. Sadly, she died at the scene. Officers have arrested a 17-year-old girl. She's been taken to Belmont Police Station. Our reporter will be live from the scene a little later in the bulletin. The Prime Minister has been labelled a liar by a prominent Newcastle campaigner over speaking arrangements at an End Domestic Violence rally in Canberra. Sarah Williams taking aim at Anthony Albanese in a war of words that's now shifted the focus in the country's crisis.
No more violence, no more hate!
The national mood is clear. A lot more must be done to stop violence against women committed by men. And the Prime Minister has declared he's heard the message.
We need to acknowledge that we need to change behaviour, we need to change attitudes, we need to change culture.
Rallies across the country culminating in a Canberra call for action. Anthony Albanese attended out of solidarity to listen and to learn. But it's what happened next that's become a flashpoint.
I was happy not to speak, I was happy to speak.
I was told from his office on Saturday morning that he was not wanting to speak, that he wasn't coming to speak.
But as rally organiser Sarah Williams spoke on Sunday, name-checking the PM,
Are we giving the opportunity for Anthony Albanese to make comment today?
he decided he would speak, to the applause of some, booing of others.
And we'll consider the decision of them speaking about 10 minutes. I'm not having any attacks towards myself or the organisation.
We did ask to speak, myself and Katie, and we're told that that wasn't possible, and that's fine. I respect the organisers' right to do that.
That's a full-out lie.
Ms Williams, visibly upset, was immediately comforted by friends. Today, she doubled down.
That's a lie. That's a flat-out lie. He is a man. He was not invited to speak. He didn't ask to speak. Him using his power to speak and taking the platform from victim survivors shows our issue here in this country.
It was an emotional day for people, and I get that.
Minister for Women Katie Gallagher, who was also in attendance, commended the organisers but insisted Mr Albanese acted out of care, interest and goodwill.
And then when we were at the rally, I think the rally expected to hear from their Prime Minister, so he stood up and spoke.
The women out there are hurting and they want action, not words. They want actions, not platitudes.
National Cabinet meets on Wednesday to discuss what actions could be taken. Given the heightened atmospherics, Anthony Albanese will be expected to have something to announce.
What he did yesterday, and me calling it out, has put victim survivors, domestic, family and sexual violence actually on the platform in Australia, and I actually think now we're going to see a real change.
Andrew Probyn, NBN News.
A High Court ruling that freed almost 150 detainees is back in the spotlight, with one now charged over a brutal home invasion. A 73-year-old grandmother was left battered and bruised in the alleged attack. Authorities claim the man posed as a police officer.
His release was controversial. Now he's back in custody, creating an even greater furore. Majid Shamidi Dukashikan is one of 3 men rounded up, accused of a brutal home invasion in Perth nearly 2 weeks ago.
I'm very frightened. I am not the same person I used to be.
73-year-old Nanette Simons was beaten almost beyond recognition.
I was pouring with blood from my mouth, from my nose, and I blacked out, unconscious for a minute or two. I thought I was dying.
Her 76-year-old husband, Philip, was also bashed and tied up.
The minute they came inside over there, one bloke grabbed me, get on your knees, threw me on the floor, jumped on my back, grabbed the cord from the amplifier and tied me up on the floor.
The three men allegedly posed as police, brandishing what looked like official badges, and said they had a warrant to search their home for gold.
This violent crime was just outrageous. Impersonating police officers taken very seriously.
Dukesh Khan was part of a large group of detainees released after a landmark High Court ruling in November. The federal government powerless to intervene. Earlier this year, the 43-year-old, originally from Iran, was charged with breaching curfew orders but was granted bail. The opposition tonight calling for both the Home Affairs Minister and the Immigration Minister to be sacked immediately.
And if they can't explain what they're going to do to make sure this never happens again, then they should both resign.
In a statement, the Home Affairs Department says the safety and security of the community remains the absolute priority. We will continue to work closely with our state and territory partners. Releasing the detainees posed obvious risks, and this couple appears to have paid the price.
I felt like I should have been dead, but I don't know how I survived this horrific thing.
Damien Ryan, NBN News.
The parents of a teenager accused of stabbing a bishop at a city church have spoken publicly for the first time since the alleged terror attack. It comes after the wounded church leader made his return to the altar.
Head down, he's a man of few words. Was your son a violent child?
Sorry?
The father of a teenager terrorism act hurries from their home in Sydney southwest this morning. His 16-year-old son accused of stabbing Bishop Marmari Emmanuel at Christ, the Good Shepherd Church in Wakeley 2 weeks ago. The boy's mother telling the ABC she learnt about the alleged attack when a friend sent her the video. When I saw him, I threw the phone, she said. I couldn't believe it. His parents say he struggles with anger management, mental health and suspected autism spectrum disorder. When he gets angry, he becomes dangerous. When he's angry, he doesn't know what he's doing. The couple also expressing their relief that the bishop survived the attack. Marmari Emmanuel made his return to the altar last night, sharing a message for the teenager.
You are my son, and you will always be my son. I will always pray for you.
A friend of the bishop has told 9 News they were surprised to see him back so soon as he continues to undergo tests on his injured eye. It's feared the bishop may lose his eye, but he still holds no animosity towards his attacker.
I'll always wish you nothing but the best.
Erin Ramsey, NBN News.
My Lord and
A man charged over an alleged weekend crime spree on the Central Coast had his case briefly mentioned in Wyong local court today. 54-year-old Darren Robert London is accused of an armed robbery at Wyong and a series of break-and-enters, including stealing a vehicle with a woman still inside. Authorities also allege he rammed a police car on the M1 near Arimba during the pursuit. The Tuggerah Wong man did not apply for bail and is set to face court in June. There's good news for Oakhampton Heights residents who can find themselves cut off when flooding hits Maitland. The council is starting work on a new access road that locals can use as an emergency exit.
Rising water isolating a community of more than 100 people for days at a time. Catherine O'Neill has lived at Oakhampton Heights for 20 years. She says learning to bunker down comes with the territory.
5 times we've been flooded in. You can't predict losing the power, but you just have to put up with it.
Now Maitland Council is taking action, with $2 million worth of works beginning this week on a new access road south of Scobie's Lane for residents and visitors to use to evacuate during a deluge.
Bulk earthworks across a section of 650 metres that will actually raise the access by 2 metres.
Stage 1 is set to finish in October.
During a flood event, we'll be able to actually divert the traffic around this actual alignment of this bulk earthworks and actually get the people in and out.
Farm sheds, water tanks and fencing are now set to be removed and power lines relocated as part of stage 1 of the project. But council is yet to secure funding for stage 2.
Stage 2 will be the final road pavement building. Don't have a timeline for when the whole project will be finished.
Disaster resilience expert Iftikhar Ahmed says the new road will be a welcome addition, but residents should still keep emergency kits handy.
And what happened recently, 2021, 2022 even, they actually exceeded all previously expected levels. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Some locals like Catherine, though, still manage to find the upside of being stuck at home.
It's always a Chardonnay moment at my house when it's flooding.
Love it. Risa Utama, NBN News.
The state government has released the fine print for its key housing reform, a policy to cut red tape for residential developments within 400 metres of select train stations, including 7 in the Hunter. The changes allow a 24-metre height limit and no minimum lot size.
You will be able to see significant densification around those areas that will come online, and the state environmental planning policies actually supersede any of our local environment plans here in Newcastle.
A 2% developer contribution towards affordable housing will also be enforced. The changes take effect on May 13. Reports of tree poisoning and vandalism in residential parts of the Hunter are increasing, leading to calls for penalties to rise. Some want them brought in line with the ACT, where maximum fines now stand at $80,000.
It seems it's a view to kill for. On Redhead Bluff, a mature banksia poisoned. A council sign letting passers-by know it was deliberately destroyed.
I think it's fairly disgusting, really. It's very selfish of people who tend to do these things, and it's always for property value gain.
It's becoming an all too familiar story. At Lake Macquarie alone, just 4 months into 2024, there have been 41 recorded incidents and 95 last year. That's compared to 16 cases in 2022. In January, 4 100-year-old coastal banksias were felled at Swansea Heads. The council believes in an effort to improve views. At Warners Bay, a prominent stand of 7 trees on the waterfront were poisoned. And at Tyes Hill, healthy 5-metre tall mangroves line Throsby Creek until this point, where someone struck with a chainsaw.
It's been really shocking, very concerning, and there's been a lot of community members talking to me about how angry they are.
Hunter Water will erect a sign here explaining it's a site of vandalism and that heavy penalties apply, including $220,000 for a corporation, $110,000 for an individual. Mangroves are protected, therefore penalties are higher, but the maximum council fine for common urban tree vandalism is just $3,000.
And there's actually a petition at the moment in New South Wales calling for the state government to increase the possible maximum fines.
Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
Sports clubs at Wickham are hoping to see more people on the field and through the gates following a $2.6 million upgrade of Passmore Oval's heritage-listed grandstand. Officially open today, it features purpose-built female change rooms.
This will probably be the only ground locally that I can think of that will have separate facilities for men and women, and also facilities catered for women locally, which is, I think, very important.
So we'll have first-class facilities here at Passmore Oval to be able to provide great venue for international teams and, get Newcastle on the map.
The upgrades also include a lift and wheelchair accessibility to the community room. Across the Hunter today, it was a warm one indeed. Prefrontal northwesterly winds, temperatures climbing to 27, 28 degrees with that northwesterly kicking on in. So temperatures are going to drop. We've got rain on the way throughout tomorrow with a significant southerly change. Stay with us. Coming up in just a moment, the new focus is in the search for a man missing on the far north coast and the push for a major pay rise in industries dominated by women.
McDonald's favourites, now in gluten-free.
Hey mate, it's time to go home. I can't!
Don't get stuck in pain. Voltaren gel penetrates deep into the skin to reduce inflammation and relieve pain to get you moving sooner.
I'm back!
Voltaren, the joy of movement.
Here's a little thanks for...
They're more than chicken McNuggets.
Hard work.
They're team builders. Get more for your money at Macca's with 24 chicken McNuggets for just $9.95.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Is that a comet?
I'm not sure, but I think it's made them angry.
Run!
Well, that's not part of the show.
You're covered by Budget Direct.
They rated 4.5 out of 5 based on over 47,000 independent reviews.
Well, that's positively glowing. Insurance sold with Budget Direct.
Has it had any modifications?
None.
I'll take it. I can pay you now.
ANZ Plus has extra layers of security, like Selfie ID, to make sure it's really you. Fraud protection. Now it's personal.
Looking for a great deal on your electricity? Switch to Energy Australia today and get 18% less than the reference price. Switch today at energyaustralia.com.au or call us on 133 466. Celebrate 40 years of Tocal Field Days, May 3 to 5. Discover the latest in farming techniques and technologies with over 370 exhibitors, plus heaps of entertainment, food, demonstrations and kids' activities. Tocal Field Days, 40 years celebration. Tickets on sale now.
Adjustacare Warners Bay.
I came to Adjustacare because I needed a new bed. The staff helped me pick the right bed for my needs. They delivered it to home. I couldn't be happier.
Adjustacare Warners Bay. The carer's choice in every way.
The search for a man missing from Tweed Heads continued today, 1 week on. 39-year-old Patrick Ladaki has a medical condition and is known to go on long walks for days at a time. A team of specialist police and SES members today focused on the Piggabeen and Currumbin Valley areas where he was last sighted. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. 30 years after model and escort Ravel Balmain vanished, a second coronial inquest into her suspected death has begun. Among the theories behind her disappearance, a debt the 22-year-old owed to the escort agent she worked for.
Blonde hair and blue eyes, dancer, model and escort Ravel Balmain was hard to miss. But in November 1994, the 22-year-old seemingly vanished. Her belongings found strewn around the streets of Kingsford. For years, Gavin Samer, the last person to see her, has been the prime suspect. Today, he recalled the hours they spent together at his Kingsford home. He'd booked Ravel for 2 hours through Select Companions escort agency, but once she arrived, they negotiated a third hour at a lower rate. Also taking the stand, lead investigator Detective Chief Inspector Stuart Bell, who took over the case in 2020. In 2022, a $1 million reward was offered for information about Ravel's disappearance. Following that, one of Mr. Samer's neighbours came forward to say she'd seen a black sports car on the street that day. The officer telling the inquest it's relevant as Zoran Stanojevic, who owned the agency Ravel worked for and owed money to, drove a black BMW at the time. While Ravel's sister was at the inquest today, notably absent were her parents, Jan and Ivor Balmain, who spent decades campaigning for justice for their daughter. Sadly, they have both since passed away without ever knowing what happened to her. Kate Creedon, NBN News.
It was a busy Anzac period for police in northern New South Wales, with more than 2,500 people caught breaking road rules and around 580 of those infringements coming in the Hunter. 6,500 roadside breath tests were carried out in the region, with 14 people allegedly over the limit, while there were also 24 drug detections. 180 speeding fines were handed out, while 14 drivers were caught on their phone and 9 people without seatbelts. A 35-year-old man has been charged over an alleged scuffle with NRL journalist Paul Kent. The pair was filmed outside a Sydney restaurant on Saturday night when Mr. Kent appeared to be thrown to the ground. Unions are pushing for a major pay increase in industries dominated by women. A 9% boost is being considered by the workplace umpire, but the Chamber of Commerce says the idea is divorced from reality.
4 childcare workers with a combined 90 years experience, along with their union boss, tonight warning a fair go is not happening for Australian women.
As a society, we have devalued the work of women.
Jill Marrett says her childcare centre has lost 12 staff in the last 12 months, and she's close to the edge too.
The way the sector's going, I can't afford to stay in it.
We must have a living wage. It is so important.
The ACTU is calling for a 9% pay rise for workers in what it calls feminised industries. That's childcare, education, healthcare, aged care and veterinary assistance. All have a current hourly rate of around $26. The proposal would take it to about $28.50 or an extra $90 a week.
Being able to pay their own rent, being able to decide their own future, being able to eventually retire and not live in poverty. And every single Australian deserves this.
But the Chamber of Commerce says businesses can't afford such a big one-off wage hike and warn it would also impact inflation.
The ACTU's proposal is completely divorced from reality. Honestly, it would be a dire for the Australian economy.
The annual wage review process is currently underway, and if the Fair Work Commission decides that a 9% increase is fair, then it'll go into place from July 1. The message from Australian women is simple.
They need to be paid a decent living salary.
Chris Kohler, NBN News.
Well, it was a stunning first day of the week, but it's all going to change. The nation was virtually cloud-free today, apart from one distinct feature, the front moving across the southeast. That change is going to run up the New South Wales coast, reaching the Newcastle region in the morning. Ahead of the change, it's still going to be another fine, warm day, but to the south, the cloud is going to increase and the rain's going to develop, moving into the north coast or mid-north coast by lunchtime, with lighter falls coming down inland across the northwest. This begins a very wet week for coastal communities. More details on that later. Next, though, unable to build, a special report on the dream housing estate north of Newcastle that never was. Joe Biden calls the Israeli Prime Minister ahead of key talks on a ceasefire, and the Olympic Flames set sail for France.
I'm Nat from O'Brien. These cracks all started as chips. Happens a lot. We replace thousands of windscreens, but a chair repair is faster, cheaper and greener. And with car insurance, your repair is usually free. Book today.
O'Brien. Remember, stay focused. We're just here for a tow ball.
A Toyota genuine tow ball?
Dad, here it is.
Designed and tested by Toyota.
Wait a sec. Hilux is in stock. Oh. Nice floor mats.
There are oh so many reasons to visit your local Toyota dealer, with Hilux stock available now. Toyota.
That's the sound of you winning, because you managed to get the kids and the frozen dinosaur nuggets, all without going to the supermarket. Smash it. DoorDash it.
There's a safety recall on solar system batteries branded LG, LG Chem, and some Solax products. Affected batteries may overheat and catch fire. Even if you have checked before, please check again.
You are Hester, super with impact.
You get fast, reliable NBN. Just ask our 100% of satisfied customers. It's flawless. 96%. It's almost flawless. And now get a real deal with discounts across Dodo's NBN range.
Yesterday's gone. The Fleetwood Mac legacy. Join some of Australia's finest artists as they perform the incredible hits of Fleetwood Mac, playing Port Macquarie and Newcastle this September. Tickets on sale now at yesterdaysgone.com.au.
Are you thinking al fresco and looking for something simple? Call HV Aluminium.
Are you looking for something stylish? Call HV Aluminium.
Or are looking for ideas to design something stunning?
If you're thinking al fresco, call or visit HV Aluminium New Lambton, 1800 801 572. You're watching NBN News. These are our top local stories. A man remains in custody charged over an alleged weekend crime spree on the Central Coast. The 54-year-old's case was briefly heard in court today. There's been a rise in tree poisoning and vandalism reports across parts of the Hunter. It's prompted calls for penalties to reflect those of the ACT with maximum fines of $80,000. Police are calling for witnesses after a fire that destroyed two businesses at Casino. The blaze broke out at a local laundromat early this morning. A large-scale search continues to try and find a missing man from Tweed Heads. 39-year-old Patrick Leducky has a medical condition, and two new health programs are working to combat rising obesity rates among children in the northwest. Key talks will take place in the coming hours in the hope of reaching a ceasefire in Gaza, but with Israel reportedly still planning an offensive in the city of Rafah, the US president has stepped in, speaking with the Israeli Prime Minister.
Smoke from Gaza and tanks rolling in. Israel's war is not over. On his way to the Middle East, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken with crucial talks to take place and a ceasefire deal on the table.
We want it to last for about 6 weeks. It would allow for all those hostages to get out, and of course to allow for easier aid access to places in Gaza.
The Hamas-controlled Palestinian Health Ministry says 34,000 people have been killed in Gaza. Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas says Israel needs to be told to stop.
The only country in the world that can do that and which we hold responsible is the United States of America.
In Tel Aviv, there's been anger at the Israeli government, and at American universities, tensions have been high. At Harvard, the US flag replaced by protesters as Joe Biden faces pressure at home from younger Americans to do more for peace. Today, he was on the phone with Benjamin Netanyahu. The White House says the leaders discussed a ceasefire, but also a planned Israeli military operation in Rafah in southern Gaza.
They've assured us that they won't go into Rafah until we've had a chance to really share our perspectives and our concerns with them.
President Biden has previously expressed his own concerns.
Would that be a red line?
It is a red line, but I'm never going to leave Israel. The defense of Israel is still critical.
The US has its eyes on a breakthrough for Gaza, and Hamas now says there are no substantial disputes with the offer that is on the table. That statement provides some hope, but these talks have hit roadblocks before. In the United States, Jonathan Kersley, NBN News.
At least 5 people, including a 4-month-old baby, have been confirmed dead after a series of tornadoes swept through parts of the US. Oklahoma was the worst hit, with entire towns wiped out and electricity cut off, the governor declaring a state of emergency.
I just haven't seen this much destruction from my time as governor.
Nearly 47 million people remain on alert from East Texas to Missouri, with tornadoes, torrential rain and flash flooding predicted. He may be locked in a war of words with the Australian government, but Elon Musk has shown off his relationship with China during a surprise visit. The billionaire met with trade leaders and Premier Li Qiang in Beijing to discuss Tesla's self-driving technology. He later posted about the meeting, saying he was honoured to meet the Premier. Pope Francis has visited Venice for the city's art show. The Pontiff arrived at St Mark's Square via boat and attended Mass, where he was greeted by large crowds. He also visited a women's prison and was given a private tour of an art exhibition there. It's the first time the 87-year-old has left Rome since September as he battles ongoing health issues. The New York of Australia. It might sound far-fetched, but that was the vision for a parcel of land at Port Stephens. Today, it couldn't be further from the Big Apple. Landowners are locked in a battle to build, and they're fighting to revive the city that never was.
Pristine waterfront living an hour north of Newcastle. This is North Arm Cove, a subdivision sold in the 80s as the Great Australian Dream.
Now it's your turn to become a landowner in Port Stephens.
A dream for thousands of ratepayers that was never realised. While the village currently has around 300 homes on urban-zoned blocks, the majority of landowners here can't build, with more than 3,000 blocks zoned non-urban.
Find out about your piece of Port Stephens land.
They don't have the right to even live on their land. There's no dwelling entitlement, so they can't build houses.
Many buying not knowing they could never build.
It's caveat emptor. People buy land and buy property based on their own investigations.
More than 100 years ago, the man who planned Canberra designed a future vision for North Arm Cove. Walter Burley Griffin envisaging it in 1918 as the New York of Australia. But a rezoning decision in the 60s has left it resembling a lost Mayan city, understood to be the largest paper subdivision in New South Wales.
We were surprised that not many people know about this. Is a treasure.
Architect Dejan Simovic stumbled upon the area with his wife in 2014.
We found this interesting pattern of subdivision in this area, and we started looking deeper in what is the story behind it.
He's now leading a group of architects, planners and landowners to bring Walter Burley Griffin's vision to life and put the $1.5 million a year ratepayers are forking out to better use, funding the necessary infrastructure to develop their land.
It is feasible, it's possible to do it. There are ways to do it in an affordable way.
Feasible but complex. There's no permanent water or sewage system throughout the town. And while streets were cleared decades ago, some have since grown over. You can still walk and even drive down many of the access roads put in for the subdivision here today, decades after their creation. But they're far from how they were first imagined when the project was drawn up. Mid-Coast Council now owns most of the non-urban blocks, acquired when owners stopped paying rates.
There is no plans to do any development other than to set them aside for conservation in perpetuity.
Council says setting up the necessary infrastructure would be prohibitively expensive.
The land has a number of constraints in relation to ecology and bushfire. There's also no reticulated water and sewer services there, so we don't believe there's any justification to further reduce the minimum lot size.
It's a long-standing, complex planning issue that is going to take a long time to resolve.
The Department of Planning recently instructed Mid-Coast Council to change the zoning to environmental living, but only for 5-hectare blocks.
Which is basically saying, yes, this land is usable for living.
The North Arm Cove Ratepayers Association is calling for sustainable development.
We don't want to clear the land, we want to build within the environment.
Something that could also provide a major solution to the region's crippling housing crisis.
But hope for new generation has to be provided, and I think that this is the opportunity where that can be done.
Lauren Kemp, NBN News.
Returning to breaking news now, and a young girl has died. Police say she was fatally stabbed at a Lake Macquarie home. Risa Utama joins us live from Bullaroo. Risa, what more do we now know?
Gav, emergency services rushed to a home here just before 4 p.m. Paramedics treated a 10-year-old girl for multiple stab wounds, but she died at the scene. A 17-year-old girl believed to be known to the alleged victim was arrested. She's currently assisting police with their inquiries at Belmont Police Station. Gav, this is shocking and tragic news for the community here in Bullaroo. A crime scene has been established and police investigations will continue well into this evening.
Risa, thanks for the update. Casino giant Crown has announced it will axe 1,000 jobs in a major restructure revealed to staff today. It's understood most of those roles are based in Melbourne, but the company also operates in Sydney and Perth. Crown's CEO says a sharp decline in workers in city centres and restrictions on gaming were contributing factors. And while Crown sacks hundreds of staff, Star Entertainment's chairman has been given the boot. More from Chris Kohler.
Last week, Star Entertainment chairman David Foster said the casino isn't fit to hold a licence right now. And that was one of the last things he said as chairman. His replacement today gave the Bell Inquiry a much rosier picture of the business, and the share price actually bounced, even though it's still down about 60% in the last year. At the same time, Crown is slashing its workforce, so the problems remain clear in Australian casinos more broadly. Overall, it was a positive day on the market, 61 points gained, but Qantas and Coles were among those going down while the others were on the rise. And the Australian dollar is pushing higher, back within reach of 66 US cents and above $1.10 New Zealand for the first time since last June.
New figures show bulk billing rates are up by more than 2% since last November, when the federal government introduced extra incentives costing $3.5 billion. It means Australians had around 950,000 additional bulk billed visits to the doctor over a 5-month period. In New South Wales alone, there was an extra 218,000 GP visits. If you needed a reminder of just how mad the property market is, a penthouse in Sydney's Potts Point has sold for an extraordinary $13.7 million, despite the fact it doesn't have a kitchen or bathroom. The partially renovated property fetched nearly $4 million above the price guide. It boasts 3 bedrooms, a private terrace and harbour views. Spectacular scenes in Greece as the Olympic flame heads to France. It's being transported on a 3-masted ship through the Corinth Canal north of Athens. The vessel will sail the Mediterranean, reaching Marseille on May 8, where the relay to Paris on land will begin. Time now to move to sport with Sophie Scanlon. And Sophie, Luke Keary has made a shock retirement call today.
Yes, it's just 2 months after he signed a new deal with the Roosters. After the break, Keary pays tribute to those who helped make his career, plus Trent Robinson surprised at hearing the decision. Also ahead, a Manly superstar fighting to avoid his first suspension, and our BMX riders in great form going into the Olympic Games.
Kickstart your weight loss goals with new Jumpstart Pro by Light and Easy.
Jumpstart Pro is such a game changer for losing weight. I can have one shake for breakfast and then it's mixed up for the rest of the day with really healthy food for lunch and dinner.
That's the sound of you winning. Because while watching your team pick up their 3rd consecutive loss, you also managed to pick up pizza. Smash it. DoorDash it.
This is BritBox. What? Yes. Even more streaming telly.
Forgive me. Sorry.
Sorry. I'm sorry. But it's British.
I'm so sorry. Why are you sorry? I'm just being polite, mate.
Exclusive new shows to classic favourites.
Trust me, this is what I do.
All in one place.
My sincere condolences.
No contract, no ads, no bother.
What more do you want, Anne? Apology.
Unapologetically brilliant British telly. BritBox. The ultimate collection of British telly. Watch with a free trial now. It's days like these, rediscovering a new freedom, living in a luxury home, in a luxury world-class resort. This is my time at Palm Lake Resort.
Not again. Always be you. So get insurance that's a bit more U-shaped. Yui. You insured.
Simple afternoon snack? Easy as with apple slices. With crisp and juicy 100% Aussie Pink Lady apples. Now just $3 a kilo. That's great value, hands down, at Coles.
At Optus, helping protect your identity is our priority.
Digital ID is the simple and convenient way to verify your identity with Optus.
Sunboost has taken the honours as Australia's largest solar retailer. Slash your bills with a 6.6 kilowatt premium solar system. Now an incredible $36.91. Pair with a home battery with up to $1,000 off till April 30.
Call 1300 Sunboost.
Move quick. You don't want to miss these great deals at 40 Winks.
Any size mattress is the price of a single right now at 40 Winks. Plus, earn double Qantas points. But hurry, this offer ends Sunday. T's and C's apply.
Just a month after agreeing to play on, Luke Keary has had a change of heart, announcing he'll retire at the end of the season. It's another big departure for the Roosters, who are also losing Joey Manu, Joseph Suoli'i and Jared Royer-Hargraves.
Guarded by his media minder, Luke Keary wasn't up for a chat after training today, instead taking to the club's social channels to confirm this was the end. But there's a promise to fight to the finish.
Right now, my main focus is on giving my all for this great club for the remainder of the 2024 campaign.
In a heartfelt 7.5-minute video, he paid tribute to the biggest influences on his career, but it was his wife who received the greatest accolades.
The real hero, Amy. You've been there since high school and supported me as I've chased this dream. You constantly inspire me to become a better person. It's been a crazy ride together, and without your support, I would not be sitting here today. To be able to call you my wife and the mother of my children is what truly makes me happy in this world.
It was a shock when Keary extended his contract into next year, and a double whammy when he told his coach 10 days ago he was quitting. Did it surprise you?
Yeah, it did. You know, it did surprise me, but also, we had a good chat about it. He knew it was right for him, and so if it's right, then it's the right time.
As a coach, did you try and talk him out of it, or?
No, not at all. No. He went through the process of that, listened and supported, and knew that it was right as well.
Keary is known for his speed and nous, but it's his steel which defines him. As a Souths player, he famously told Russell Crowe where to go when he was unhappy at a pre-season camp. Incredibly competitive player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's tenacious. I like it when he gets that fire in his eyes, and he's been such a servant for us. I've loved coaching him, and he's turned into a good mate, and let's finish strong.
Danny Weidler, NBN News.
Daly Cherry-Evans is the ultimate clean skin. He's played 313 NRL games, 22 Origins and 21 Tests, yet he's never been suspended. Tomorrow night at the judiciary, that could change as Manly seeks a downgrade for a dangerous tackle.
This is the tackle that's landed two Manly stars in hot water. Hamoli Olakau'atu has accepted a 2-game ban for his role in the incident, but Manly are seeking a downgrade for Daly Cherry-Evans.
Oh, massive loss. Obviously, Hamoli's probably been our best player this last couple of years. Has been great, and Ches is the leading he's our captain, played the most games for this club. We all know how good he is.
If they lose at the judiciary tomorrow night, DCE will miss 3 matches. That means Jake Arthur will come into the side.
This is the ultimate professional, It's hard to believe he's only 2021, He's really switched on. He's really focuses. He's one of the most hardest trainers I've seen, He's always last out there. He's working on his game. It's probably easy to see that his dad is an NRL coach the way he goes about his business.
Luke Brooks says it'll be Arthur wearing the number 7 jersey, even though he spent most of his career there.
We don't want to change the whole game plan, and I think what we've been doing is working. So if he doesn't play, as I said, Jake will come in and things will stay the same.
Brooks loving life in the top 4 at Manly and out of the spotlight.
When you're not winning it, all the bad stuff is highlighted. I'm still making errors, but because you win, it's not highlighted. So hopefully we just keep winning.
Emma Lawrence, NBN News.
Storm playmaker Cameron Munster is often at odds with his coach Craig Bellamy, but he credits his career to the premiership winning mentor as he prepares for his 200th NRL game this weekend.
everyone laughs about me being his son and having that love-hate relationship that we have going on, but I knew deep down that I didn't want to be coached by anyone else, and it's funny enough, I'm still trying to get him to stay longer as he's going in his tooth.
Munster's toddler Jackson was happy to steal the limelight today, and there'll be more chaos in their household soon, with wife Bianca expecting their third child. With the Paris Games just around the corner, Australia's BMX stars have thrown down the gauntlet, claiming all 4 titles at the World Cup Series in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Olympian Saya Sakakibara dominated the women's competition, winning 4 of the 6 races to defend her crown in style, while in the men's, Isaac Kennedy won his first title. Coming up next, wins for the Premier League big guns at the pointy end of the title race.
$37,990 to $51,490 drive away. Test drive now.
Our hair colour is us. Colouring our hair goes deeper than outward beauty. It lets our true colours shine from within, and that's powerful. Create your style with Schwarzkopf Live Colour.
I was born with half an arm. I've never ever made it a limitation.
14 Aussies, $1 million.
I'm about to lose my farm to the banks.
I've played Survivor. The work you put in, the suffering you go through. Survivor's got nothing on this.
The new Summit, soon on 9.
Priya's birthday's tomorrow, and Dan has definitely not forgotten. That's why we're working to provide more next-day express deliveries, so it wouldn't even matter if he has. You ask, we deliver at Australia Post.
Things are really heating up, and heating in outdoors by Glendale Warehouse. See the huge range of wood heaters, gas heaters, and gas-log fires. Plus friendly service and expert advice. Now at 2 locations. I'm Helen Thornton.
Australia celebrating how successfully attended her final at the LA Championship, firing a spectacular final round of 66 for her second win of the year. Green Cardiff, 3 birdies, and an eagle out of the back nine to fall late at the chasing pack. British victory sealing an $860,000 payday for world number 18. Another stumble for Tottenham in its fight to qualify for the Champions League, with Ange Postecoglou's men losing to Arsenal 3-2, putting them further behind the top 4. The win keeps the Gunners in top spot, but defending champions Manchester City are poised to pounce after a 2-0 win over Nottingham.
Homes.com.au.
This May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Save up to 90.
Racing pack. The 3-shot victory sealing an $860,000 payday for the world number 18. Another stumble for Tottenham in its fight. The North Stars had a nail-biting end to their weekend, their first loss of the national ice hockey season coming in a shootout. Despite the defeat, Newcastle is still on top of its division ladder, and Wahib Daj leads the scoring. The North Stars started on a high, securing 3 points on Saturday thanks to a convincing 6-2 win over the Brave in Canberra. But back home yesterday, they faced a much tougher battle, and their early lead over the Ice Dogs quickly disappeared.
Grand tournament, top shelf, equalisers.
The game went to a shootout, with the Sydney side grabbing its second victory of the season. While in Hunter Coast at Premier Hockey, Ryan Simpson got Maitland off to the right start as it recorded a 4-1 win over the Tigers. To basketball, and the Mustangs men continued their unbeaten run in NBL 1 East, defeating the Crusaders 96-70. Christian Little top scoring for Maitland with 19 points.
Little goes to the hoop for too easy of a layup.
The women's winning streak came to an end, downed 78-73 by the Central Coast in overtime. But rival club the Falcons took flight, getting the better of the Panthers for their third win of the season.
Mulville for another 3. Oh, he hits it.
Women also tasted success, continuing their winning ways with a hard-fought victory over Penrith, 80 points to 75. And in the NPLW, Maitland got the better of Broadmeadow thanks to braces from Sophie Jones and Georgia Amos. A less than ideal day for Hunter surfers at the Gold Coast Pro, with Merryweather's Philippa Anderson and adopted Novocastrian Sarah Baum knocked out in the round of 32 at Snapper Rocks. Meanwhile, the Central Coast Macy Callahan is through to the next stage. She's now vying for a spot in the quarterfinals. Anderson and Baum will shift their focus to the second Challenger Series event in Sydney next month. Aussies Jason Doyle and Jack Holder have made their mark at the opening round of the Speedway GP Series in Croatia. Holder inked his name in the history books, while Doyle bounced back from an early blow to claim second.
Jason Doyle made a strong start to his second heat. Then this happened.
Oh, doors off!
Thankfully, he was soon back on his bike, shooting to the lead in his next heat before being overtaken in the final straight.
Leo Madsen and Jason Doyle putting on a masterclass of World Championship Speedway there.
The Curry product then went head-to-head with fellow Aussie Jack Holder, the pair snagging the top 2 spots in Heat 15. The former world champ backed that up with another second, which was enough to see him through to the semis.
What a ride!
There the Aussies were again inseparable, claiming spots in the decider.
The 2 Australians are set fair for the final tonight.
They flew out to the lead.
Holder and Jason Doyle away, down the back straight first and second.
And held off competition to cross the line 1-2.
Oh, a special move for Holder, wins his first Grand Prix.
A breakthrough for Holder, while Doyle was ecstatic to be on the podium.
What a couple of days we've had. A terrible one in Poland last night, and then come here and go into qualifying and get 18th in the timing, and then come and stand on the rostrum is, what a night.
Montana Claire, NBN News.
How good? No one does it quite like the Aussies, hey?
Absolutely. Used to love that sport as a kid. Thank you so much, Soph. All right, stay with us. There is a lot headed our way as far as the weather is concerned. A significant shift happening first thing in the morning. All of your local details straight after the break.
The Bakers. Battlers one day, multi-millionaires the next.
Oh my God, I'm crying, but I'm so happy.
A current affair next.
I'm a lone roping cowboy riding all day out west where prickly pear grows. I live in the saddle way out. I'm but low. Oh, live.
Dad, can we keep it?
The all-new Mitsubishi Triton.
Nothing can frighten a Triton.
Kickstart your weight loss goals with new Jumpstart Pro by Light and Easy.
Jumpstart Pro is such a game changer for losing weight. I can have one shake for breakfast and then it's mixed up for the rest of the day with really healthy food for lunch and dinner.
Here's a little thanks for...
They're more than Chicken McNuggets. They're team builders. Get more for your money at Macca's with 24 Chicken McNuggets for just $9.95.
Hi.
Hi.
Family holiday?
Yeah, we're really looking forward to spending time together.
Oh, have you been before? You make me
from the Spextravaganza store-wide sale. Get any 2 pairs store-wide for only $1.99. Save up to $200. Hurry, offer ends May 1.
Make the switch to Red Energy on your next move and unpack up to 15,000 bonus Qantas points. Call 131 806.
Looking for a contemporary home at an affordable price? Discover unbeatable value at Domain Homes. Find out how you can save 10% and price your new home today at domainhomes.com.au.
Things are cooling off outside and heating up in-store at Newcomb's Barbecues galore. Keep yourself warm this winter and check out some red-hot savings across our wide range of wood heaters. Come in and see our expert team at Newcomb's Barbecues galore, New England Highway, Rutherford.
Right, I'm going to take some off his plate. He's got too much.
Well, it was a glorious start to what is going to be a very ordinary week of weather. A lot of rain on its way. Details in a moment. Let's go to one of the most photographed chapels in the country, Goswick Chapel. This time of the year, it could be so dramatic. Here it is on a foggy start to the day, but now the leaves are changing and it's got a very eerie feel to it at the moment, but it can be so beautiful as well. Jenny Rogers, thank you for that shot. Past 24 hours, limited rain around the nation. Easy to see why on the satellite. The most significant weather event of the week is now visible moving into southern New South Wales tonight. It is very cold behind this system, and that's the reason why we are going to have quite an impact from this system, because the cold air is going to link up with that front. Then we're going to see a lot of cold air sit there over the Tasman, then be driven onshore as that high moves across, and then we're going to have a trough line set up along the coast, and that is going to create perfect, ideal conditions for that moisture to be scooped up off the ocean and driven onshore our way. So there's going to be moderate heavy falls at times, days of it, the potential of flash flooding again occurring over the next 7, maybe 10 days. It's going to be here because of different reasons. You've got that coastal event, then we're going to see an inland event. It's clear over central Australia at the moment and quite warm, but we're going to see a northwest moisture feed begin to build as we move into the middle of the week, and then that's going to link up with this system having an impact right throughout the southeast where it's very, very cold. 25 for Perth, a shower for Brisbane, but the dry season settling in across the north. It was glorious today. 27s and 28s. We're not going to see that for some time, I'm afraid. Here it comes. Strong wind warnings issued. The southerly is really going to boot in, particularly by the time we hit lunchtime and into the afternoon. So switching early, cloud increasing, wet weather increasing as we move into the afternoon. And you can see the lower Hunter to the coast is going to cop most of it, but some falls limited numbers will be again reaching parts of the upper Hunter. So getting pretty ordinary from an early stage. Southerly reaching the central coast first thing, the cloud building and the wet weather on its way. Then the southerly hitting the coast quite dramatically through the lunchtime period in the afternoon, where we'll start to see moderates, some heavy falls building with that first wave moving through. Limited rain, light patchy showers and a few falls there right throughout the upper Hunter. Strong wind warnings have been issued. The wind's building to 30 knots, over 60 k's an hour, and the swell is going to come in behind it as well. Sun to rise 6:24, down 5:16. So tomorrow morning low tide 7:13, back to the high in the afternoon at about 1:20. Waves, everything's going to change there. It's a new swell on its way behind this system. Look at the numbers here every single day. You've got that wet weather, northwest moisture feed linking up with that coastal event as we progress into the weekend. Not as wet throughout the upper Hunter, but we're going to see some falls, but the coast is certainly going to be seeing a pretty ordinary week unfold again. The surf has been amazing. The water is so warm in, the beach is inviting, but again, you can say goodbye to all of this. It's a new howling southerly. It's a buster coming through during tomorrow, blowing out the situation, dragging in a new swell though, and onshore winds are going to be a feature for about the next 10 days. And that's your NBN news for the evening. From all of the team, have yourself a wonderful night.
Hello, I'm Ali Langdon. Welcome to A Current Affair. Donald and Jean Morley were teenage sweethearts, together for 76 years, married for 69. But one night, the love story turned into a true crime story, and now Donald's become the oldest Australian convicted of murder.
Their story started when Jean and Donald were 16. Donald has always called Jean my darling. They married at 23, moving to Australia to start a life together.
We used to have dinner parties. So my neighbour there and this neighbour and this neighbour.
The Morleys lived the Canberra dream, happily married with an immaculate home in the suburbs. Judy Jones was their neighbour in Fisher for more than 40 years.
They were devoted to each other. I mean, they had their snappy moments, but they were devoted to each other.
It's a sad end to a long love story.
It's a terrible end to a story that started in Yorkshire and came out here.
A story that took a tragic turn in July last year.
The female was located yesterday afternoon and police were called, subsequently attended.
Jean was found dead in the couple's bed. The couple lived in this Canberra home for decades. On the day after the murder, a health worker arrived here to treat Donald for his skin cancer and change some of his dressings. When the nurse asked after Jean, Donald broke down, saying, "I've done a terrible thing." 92-year-old Donald was charged with his wife's murder. He admitted to police he had suffocated her and then tried to take his own life. Donald had written a note, which the court heard, read, "Please don't call this murder-suicide. After 69 years married, we were both afraid of the future. Sorry to upset all the family plus friends. This wasn't easy for me or my darling." Is there anything you'd like to say on behalf of Donald? Donald Morley's lawyer, John White SC, told the court it was a mercy killing and that Donald was Jean's full-time carer after she was diagnosed with dementia. He was responsible for all domestic chores and never left Jean on her own. Facing his own terminal cancer diagnosis and dementia, his lawyers said he struggled with the uncertain future that faced his wife and himself. Donald telling healthcare workers the couple had lived too long. The prosecution said this was a serious example of domestic violence. Jean was in apparent good health for her advanced age. Morley pleaded guilty today in sentencing at the ACT Supreme Court. The judge told him murder remains murder, labelling it a family violence offence and that the victim was particularly vulnerable who did not ask to be killed, saying the crime was a gross breach of trust by her own husband as she lay in bed. Morley was imprisoned for 9 years. The now 93-year-old is too sick for jail. He's currently being held here at a hospice where it's likely he'll serve his time and is expected to die from his illness in a matter of months. The court heard his punishment is effectively a life sentence. Donald tried to say something towards the end there. Do you know how he's feeling today? Do you think he deserves to go to jail?
No.
There is a feeling of shock on their old street.
I think it's only a mercy killing as far as I'm concerned, I would say. He's done it out of compassion, not hate.
It might
sit uncomfortably with you that a sick old man was jailed for 9 years. You may not consider what he did domestic violence, but as the judge himself said, murder remains murder. And that's why the national crisis we're facing is so complex. How did the man accused of murdering Molly Ticehurst get bail, despite already facing charges of raping and stalking her? We saw from the rallies at the weekend the hurt, the anger the whole country is feeling. So how do we change it? We ask the people who have lived it. Kim O'Reilly is a domestic violence survivor, and Tarang Chawla's sister Nikki was murdered by her former partner in 2015. Thanks to both of you. Kim, the rallies, every big city, so many tiny towns. What was it like to walk the streets with so much support?
I mean, it was incredible. It was so moving. The turnout was fantastic. There was a lot of emotion, whether that was frustration, anger, sadness, all sorts of feelings, but it was a really strong message. All of us that showed up really, really had a strong message, and that is enough is enough.
Do you think our politicians, the ones who impact what our policies and standings are, do you think they understand how fearful women are, Kim?
Not at all. I think that's why we've still got this problem, and it's getting worse and worse. We don't have any outcomes. We haven't had any solutions. I don't think they understand because they haven't been affected by it.
How about you, Tarang? I mean, your sister Nikki was murdered the same night her partner found out she was leaving him. She was 23 and that was 9 years ago. What's changed?
What's changed, Ali, is that we're talking about it now. But talk is cheap, and talk won't bring back the lives of the 32 women that have been killed this year. Talk is very little comfort to those families, the loved ones who will always now at Christmas lunch have an empty seat at that table, who will miss birthdays and anniversaries of their loved one. So we're talking about it, but we really need meaningful action from government, and I think we know what we need to do as a society because the experts have been telling government for decades, and it's time for them to listen and to act.
How are you every time you hear that another woman has lost her life to this? When you said 9 years ago that you were adamant that you didn't want to see any other family go through what yours went through?
It's utterly heartbreaking, Ali. Every single time you see a woman's face on the news and you look at the story of how she lived her life and then seeing how certain parts of the media may label the person who took her life as being a good bloke or hearing about his career aspirations, it's heartbreaking. And then I look at my parents who had the very tragic reality of having to, attend the funeral of their only daughter. And I think of how many families across the country are having to go through the same thing, and that's the greatest loss. The loss for a parent of a child to men's violence is just utterly heartbreaking, and so I share that empathy for families all across Australia.
And in many ways, I'm sorry to ask both of you to come on and to share what you've gone through again, but I feel like the lessons you've learnt and what you've gone through and your experiences, there is so much we can take from that. And Tarang, you said that there was an escalation 3 months before her murder, which you've described as a missed opportunity. What happened and how was it handled?
So about 3 months before my sister was murdered, Ali, the man who took her life, her then partner, was brandishing a big knife at home, and he was threatening either harming her or self-harm, and my sister didn't know what to do. How would anyone know what to do when a person that professes to love them is waving a knife around and saying things that are unhinged and causing you such great distress and fear? And she reported it to authorities, and it was suggested that he undergo anger management and counselling, and nothing came of that. You know, that's such a missed opportunity that had someone intervened properly, my sister wouldn't have been forever young at 23. She would have been celebrating every birthday since and grown into the beautiful young woman that she should have always been able to grow into. So that was a missed opportunity.
Goodness me, had he potentially got help at that point, that maybe your sister would be here. And I look then to Kim, in your case, you're alive because neighbours heard your screams and police got there in time. He went to jail, but explain how hard you had to fight to keep him locked up.
I'm still fighting. You know, he's out on parole at the moment and is released fully after his sentence is finished in January next year. It is all about the perpetrator. It is not about us. We are not protected in any way through the legal system, and the sentence really is for us for life. It is not about them. It is about them getting a cancellation prize and rewarded for their good behaviour. But for a whole lifetime, we suffer with trauma.
And as you say that, we're looking at some of your injuries, which you gave us permission to show them. How often do you think back to that moment and how close you came to not being with us today?
Oh, daily, every day, probably multiple times a day. I have an interaction and it will just trigger a memory. But I definitely go over it so many times and think about how lucky I was, or also how unlucky I was that I had to go through it.
And you're still going through it. Do you think for you that it ever ends?
Never. Never. I'm definitely a different person. My life is definitely different in how I choose to live it and how I can live it, but it will never go away. It is a life sentence.
Well, you're forced to live in the shadows, aren't you? Always looking over your shoulder.
100%.
Yeah. You said he has served his sentence now. He's out on parole. What's it like knowing he's on parole? Do you feel safe?
Not at all. I haven't felt safe since the day I was told that he was getting out on parole. Yeah. His sentence is his sentence and he should have to do that. But, you know, unfortunately, this is the flaw in our system and he is out and I feel extremely unsafe. And I will for the rest of my life.
And look, I think this goes to the very heart of the issue, right? Too many women don't feel safe. You're not being listened to. We don't learn from your experiences, and so it just keeps happening. Turang, the Prime Minister has called an emergency cabinet meeting with the premiers on Wednesday. The only thing on the agenda will be domestic violence. What do you want to come from it?
I want this meeting of the Prime Minister and all the state and territory leaders to actually demonstrate to all of Australia what they plan to do. Now, the government has a 10-year action plan on reducing family violence. They've made commitments that in a generation or in 10 years they want to eradicate family violence. Now, if the numbers continue as they have every 4.5 days, we'll have over 90 women this year killed if that trend continues this year. And that is just utterly heartbreaking. So this Wednesday, I want them to say what they're actually going to do. You know, there's conversations about whether or not we should have a royal commission. Well, experts have been telling the government for decades to fully fund frontline services, to fully fund domestic violence shelters, to fully fund women's legal services, to provide appropriate supports to law enforcement to be able to deal with violent offenders, and to actually rethink what we mean around prevention. We talk about prevention as being men changing attitudes. Well, we can't wait a generation for men to change their attitudes. We actually need to do things now. So I really encourage the Prime Minister to put every option on the table on Wednesday and actually commit to meaningful change.
What do you think we'll see come from this meeting, Kim? I mean, we see how governments respond when there's, say, like a natural disaster or a terror attack. We see action, but I feel often with domestic violence, all we get is words. What do you want physically, practically to see come from it?
I want to know what they're going to do for safety for women once a perpetrator gets out of jail. I also want to know what prevention measures we can take to stop this from happening in the first place. And I want to know when it's going to be implemented and how it's going to be implemented and how can we improve it along the way. I don't want them to stand up there and tell us what the problem is. We already know what that is. I want to know what they are going to do about it.
So you would feel safer, say, ankle monitoring bracelets?
100%.
Yep. So at least 100%. The police know where a certain person is at all times. Because look, the reality is we can't lock everyone up, and Turang, you just touched on it about prevention and what that looks like. We need to have the women's refuges, the legal services they're available for when they leave. What about in regards to the services available to these men? The men, so we hold up that mirror, help them change their behaviour. Does anything exist in that space that either of you are aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. There are men's behaviour change programs, and often perpetrators or violent offenders are made to do these court-mandated programs. But the sector that deals with this will often say that they're not fully funded to be able to do their work, and they need to have appropriate funding because we can't lock everyone up. We need to acknowledge that there are men who are capable of rehabilitation, and we actually need to have the unglamorous conversation about what we're going to do to support that rehabilitation, you know, provided there's someone who has demonstrated that they are not a risk to the women that they used to be in a relationship with or the wider community. And so when those men are in those positions, they need to be supported to actually engage in those programs, but they're not being supported right now because the services aren't being funded appropriately.
And as you say, first things first is always someone's safety has to come first. And I'm really mindful of not demonising all men in this, but with violent men, right? I mean, it's not like they have it tattooed on their forehead. It's not always obvious. Do we need more men calling out bad behaviour? I'll go to you first, Tarang.
Absolutely, we need to see more men taking the lead. And, you know, I looked at the sort of state and territory leaders and a lot of men in positions of power, the Prime Minister yesterday at the rally, wanting to show their solidarity. But the irony is, and Kim and I were speaking about this, the irony is that the rallies are there because people feel that government hasn't done enough historically. And so it's really up to all levels of government, of business, of sport, of community groups to see strong male leaders standing up, because when it comes to these issues of respect for family, for others, these are really traditional masculine qualities. A lot of men get this sense that, oh, not all men are violent. Well, we know that not all men are violent, but all men play a responsibility to help shape the attitudes. The problem is it's so urgent right now that we can't wait that long.
And look, and as you were speaking, I could see Kim nodding her head there. And Kim, this is close to your heart, and I wanted to give you the final word on it, because I know while you were recovering from your horrific injuries, your attacker got bail and was playing with his footy club, and they even wrote him character references, which goes entirely against exactly what Tarang was just saying there, that we need to call out bad behaviour.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great, and it is a male's problem, and males can't sit on the fence. They either need to be a part of the solution, or they're definitely a part of the problem. And it needs to be called out. This masculinity, toxic masculinity, just isn't okay. You know, we can't have people in role model positions accounting for other people when their behaviour is so toxic. We need to call it out, and we need to change our attitude in our community.
Well, Kim, too many women have had their voices permanently silenced, so I applaud you for standing up. And Tarang, you founded Not One More Nikki in honour of your sister, so I know that you'll fight on. Thank you both for coming on today.
Thanks, Ali.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Both such powerful forces, and I hope that their strength can be passed on to others, because there are really good people determined to make change, and our leaders, they need to listen to them. They're the ones who have lived through domestic violence, and what we heard just then makes a whole lot of sense. If you or someone you know is experiencing sexual abuse or family violence, there is help. Call 1-800-RESPECT. That's 1-800-737-732. Well, coming up, Baker's Delight, the life-changing win that has the battling Baker family on cloud nine.
I'm saying, are you serious? Like, is this really, have I really won? And they go, yes, no, you've won.
Oh, well, that's future Paula's problem. Oh, jeez. Who are you? I'm future Paula, and we've got a problem. Your 4 p.m.'s going to run over because Jane will be late. There's road work on Harris Street. You've got Pilates on Wednesday, and you're going to have to stop. Trust me.
Do future you a favour and stock up with fresh, ready-made meals delivered. Help yourself with YouFoods.
Oh, wow. Is that a comment?
I'm not sure, but I think it's made them angry.
Well, that's not part of the show. Good thing you're covered by Budget Direct.
They're rated 4.5 out of 5 based on over 47,000 independent reviews.
Well, that's positively glowing.
Insurance sold with Budget Direct.
Dreams.
Extra
Doing by yourself again?
I'm playing Match Masters against people from all over the world. Like this one's from...
For the honor of to Luk Salvatia! You're supposed to rule it! I will not fail you, father!
Sorry, Oleg.
You lose. I have no son.
Match Masters. Who will you match against?
I love the sunburned country. A land of sweeping plains. Of ragged mountain ranges. Of drought and flooding rains. When the lucky country isn't so lucky.
Lucky you're with Amy.
Australia and the world come together for the greatest event on Earth. Australia, it's time to celebrate. Oh, she has taken the world by storm. What a beautiful moment. Experience every moment of green and gold magic. He's done it! Only on 9. And the dream becomes reality. Your new home of the Olympic Games.
From the hills of the Tamar Valley, taste the difference of pure, all-natural goodness. Deliciously thick and creamy yogurt. Real fruit with a serving of cream from Tamar Valley Dairy. The creamery, the better. Finest artists as they perform the incredible hits of Fleetwood Mac, playing Port Macquarie and Newcastle this September. Tickets on sale now at yesterdaysgone.com.au. Wainscoting easily transforms your walls. Give your home the Hamptons look while helping to protect your walls. 12 different combinations, all made, measured and installed.
Doors fast, no fuss.
Gaslight, a new psychological thriller starring Geraldine Hakewell, Toby Schmitz, and legend Kate Fitzpatrick. Madness or manipulation? You be the judge. 7 shows only. Civic Theatre, gaslightplay.com.au.
At Woolworths, we can help you spend less on healthy grab-and-go favourites. With great fresh specials, like Australian Royal Gala apples, now just $3.50 a kilo. That's today's fresh food, people.
We love hearing about good things happening to good people, and the Baker family are just that. Battlers who've hit the jackpot, but they almost missed out on the winning ticket because Dad thought it was a waste of money.
Wowee. Welcome to our beautiful house, Bridget. I remember just falling down onto the floor and crying and saying, I can't believe it.
Oh my God, I'm crying, but I'm so happy.
My first reaction was, are you sure? You're not getting scammed? It sounds kind of scammy.
We never thought that something like this would happen to us.
It's safe to say Narelle and Dean Baker and their 3 children are on top of the world. While they might be newly minted multi-millionaires, it's a far cry from what these Aussie battlers are used to.
Narelle was working 3 jobs to get us by.
From 7 in the morning till 6 at night, working Sundays.
The last few years haven't been kind to the Baker family. Dean was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
You never want to hear that your partner's sick. Sorry.
Unable to work in his government job, Narelle held down the fort, taking up work in childcare as a teacher's aide and a Woolies checkout operator.
Very tiring. So just to keep our head above the water.
The couple has 3 beautiful kids, Ashley, Amy and Thomas.
She was trying to do everything for our family to keep us afloat, but it was just bringing her down.
It was tough on my kids because I had to try and help, Dean with his conditions and obviously with our son who is on the spectrum.
That buffer we had on everything we were paying just got smaller and smaller and smaller to the stage where you were just meeting your obligations.
Things getting so tight, Dean asked Narelle to hold off buying lottery tickets.
You know, can you just hang off on them until I go back to work when there's some more money? And she said, yeah, righto. And her yeah, righto means I'll do what I want. I'm eating my words now.
This is the moment when Narelle got the phone call that would change their lives forever.
Your total prize value, as at this point in time, is $4,249,491.
Oh my God. This isn't for real. This isn't a joke, is it?
I was in shock and I started to cry and I'm saying, are you serious? Like, is this really, have I really won? And they go, yes, Narelle, you've won it.
Well, Narelle, you might be able to quit one of those 3 jobs you have anyway.
Oh, don't worry, I'll be quitting all of them.
Husband Dean thought it was too good to be true.
She said, we won the Marta lottery. I said, get out. So I hung up. I rang Marta head office and they came back and said, congratulations, Miss Baker. Your wife won the lottery today.
What was it like when you first walked in?
It was like walking into a fancy Airbnb or motel.
The Bakers are now trading their Penrith home in Sydney's western suburbs for this waterfront mansion on Queensland's Gold Coast.
It's very extravagant here. It's very opulent.
And then coming here, we're like, whoa. Are we allowed to touch that?
Incredibly, Dean and Narelle can now retire 8 years earlier than they were planning.
Now we can go and do what we want, when we want. We don't have to go, well, we can't do this today because we've got to go to work.
Now you're rubbing it in.
Pretty much.
They had recently switched to buying Marta Prize home tickets because it supports cancer research.
I actually lost one of my best friends when I was 14. She just collapsed and passed away. So it was like, yeah, it's just a very big thing.
Pretty awful thing to go through.
Sorry, I smell like beer, but...
Dean is still recovering from his treatment, but is now cancer-free. Dr. Jodie Saunus works for Marta Research.
The research programs that are going on are into chronic diseases. It's entirely possible that research that we're doing here at Marta will come full circle.
Bakers, so glad you're cancer-free and make the most of your wonderful new life. Coming up, entire suburbs trapped in a telco black hole and their calls for help aren't being heard.
They can put a man on the moon, but I can't make a phone call on my own home.
So, Heineken's? Yeah.
Take a look inside Haagen-Dazs, made en France, where only the best will do. Combining rich cream, luscious buttery caramel with crunchy brittle pieces. Et voila, the ice cream of ice creams. Anything designed to carry the human body must be relentlessly refined and tested. The unique Sealy Posturepedic spring system senses and responds, working to align your body so you can get straight into your day.
Tomorrow, is it really possible to work remotely while on a long holiday? We put it to the test. Plus, Dame Helen Mirren and Tommy Lee are here.
Quite the odd couple.
Crispy garlic Kievs in under 30 minutes. With Coles RSPCA approved chicken breast Kiev on special for just $6.50 a pack. Save $3. That's $1.65 a serve. And great value, hands down, at Coles.
There's a safety recall on solar system batteries branded LG, LG Chem, and some Solax products. Affected batteries may overheat and catch fire. Even if you have checked before, please check again.
What started with a passenger list led me to discover the incredible story of my great Aunt Mary.
There could be more to your story too. Piece it together with Ancestry.
With a single touch, germs are left behind to grow. Glen 20 24-hour protection helps prevent bacteria growth even after a single touch. Plus, kills viruses including COVID-19. Glen 20 for longer lasting protection.
Introducing the Cherry Motor 5, a next-generation elegant SUV that's in a class of its own. For a limited time, take advantage of a $2,000 factory bonus on selected models. Visit cherrymotor.com.au.
I'm off, fellas. You're not going to drive, are you?
Yeah, no, I'll get a ride, hon.
Let's all say yeah, nah to drink driving.
Well, girls and boys, it's been another very exciting day for our friend Big Dog. Lots of adventure and fun for everyone. But now it's time for Big Dog to say goodnight. Good night, Big Dog. Good night, girls and boys. Sweet dreams.
Tomorrow night, talk about call waiting.
Mobile merry-go-round. They can put a man on the moon, but I can't make a phone call on my own home.
Black spot madness in the birds.
I can't make a phone call.
Angry families say fix the mess.
It's 2024. This shouldn't be happening.
It seems like nobody cares.
And we'll have that story tomorrow. That's our program. I'm Ali Langdon. Thanks for your company. Have a great evening.